Say, man, how y'all doing? I'm back. It's the five-star general. We ain't doing no music on this one. We're gonna get straight to the point. I've had some real passionate views about Joe Biden today, and I met this young lady on one of my videos, and she invited me to her platform. So we actually sharing this platform. Say I got my co-host in the building, Demetrius K, to have a discussion about Joe Biden. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it over to the young lady, and you can fill them in. You got everybody here.
Hold on just 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm a little technically challenged.
We can
Okay.
see and hear you very well.
Okay, hold on just enough.
Y'all sit tight. We getting ready to crank it up.
Bear with me just a second because I got more than one platform.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me keep them entertained while you're doing that. So
Okay.
the thing is, y'all, is Biden said what he said today, and I stand on my 10 toes in regards to how I feel about it. We got two new people to the platform, Constance Love and Derek, and I think both of these good people are from Shreveport, Louisiana.
We are from
And
Shreveport, Louisiana.
exactly.
I am
The
not from
best.
Shreveport. I'm from Missouri, but I live in Shreveport.
And you live in Shreveport, but you know what? Shreveport is one of the best in places, full of potential. The people here are unique. The experiences here are unique, and I just, I think there's a plethora of talent and um, unexplored and untapped talent and resources here. And we're always on the hospice of doing bigger and better and greater things. And so it's going to come to fruition. We just got to get some pieces and people and places, all align on the same page. And I think you'll see great things coming out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Hopefully sooner than later.
Okay. So y'all, we just waiting on Miss Constance, and then we gonna get it started.
For whatever reason, it's telling me I can't do the watch party um in my group.
You the moderator,
I
am I
guess
correct?
yeah, but I mean I can let me try the other way, but it's not
So can people see us or we just have people?
well
People,
what I was
people
trying to
are actually looking at us right now.
Oh, wow. Hey, people.
I was trying to do the watch party so I could see what the comments were from people, but um
Y'all bear with us. Don't drop off. Don't drop off. Bear with us.
okay, yeah, sorry.
Constance, let's get this train moving.
Okay. We can go ahead and get started. So so I started listening to you a few months ago because of some of the controversial comments that you made about education. Do you remember that a few
Oh
months
yeah,
ago?
I make them
And
all the time.
you went in front of the city council,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's the reason. That's the reason why I followed you. So yeah. So today I I paid attention to your viewpoint about Joe Biden's statement about if we're challenging whether or not Black people were going to vote for him.
Okay.
So I personally am not a fan of Trump at all. And I don't think that we should simply just allow Trump to get back in there for another 4 more years. Like I don't see anything that he's done to benefit us. And of course you think different. So
Well,
that's my take on it. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Finish your comment.
So after listening to you talk and other people express their opinions about Biden, then I went into the Circle of Truth, which is my platform, and I asked them what did they think about Biden's statement. And I kind of watched social media, and quite a few African Americans feel like people were overreacting. They were overreacting with that statement. And at this point, if it means that they vote for a frog, then vote for a frog and just get Trump out of office. So you kept saying that we have other options. And I'd like to know what the other options are. When I listened later on this evening to you and your other counterpart, you all said that you think that we should just buckle down and ride this out for another 4 more years. So our other option is not to take Biden and just sit here and let Trump have another 4 more years to wreck America. I have a problem with that. All right, go ahead.
Here's my thing. When it comes to Biden, you live in a very unique state. I didn't live in Shreveport. I lived in Lake Charles. I lived in Lafayette, Louisiana. So I worked on drilling rigs. So I worked around racist dudes every single day for 12 straight years. I was a cook on a drilling rig. And the one thing that I could respect about a racist dude is I kind of knew where I stood. They didn't hide their feelings. I didn't hide mine. Now, as far as getting Trump out, I don't want to break your heart. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We don't have the muscle. And whatever leverage that Biden had, to make people want to believe in him, contrary to popular opinion, and went out the door today. So my thing is, I'm not in tune with supporting somebody who disrespects my race. I'm not in tune with that. And I'm not going to support him. I'm not going to vote for him. And if that means if I don't, hold on a second. What I do is when we talk so we don't have feedback, we just mute the other mics. Okay. I don't believe that I can support a closet racist. I don't believe that what he said was a mistake. I believe that what came out of his mouth, he was comfortable saying it. That's why he said it. The black vote has been used as a bargaining tool for the last 65 years. And in the last 65 years, coming out of segregation, what have we actually gotten for our vote? When I look at the neighborhoods of Shreveport, when I look at Houston, when I look at Dallas, Newark, New Jersey, Oakland, California, they all tend to resemble each other some way. And the question is why? Because the caretakers of our votes, they've done nothing. They've done nothing. They don't hold these people accountable. See, me and you realistically can't hold them accountable. We can't hold none of them accountable. But we vote people in that can. And yet they do nothing. They take our vote for granted. We don't, I know in the city of Houston, I can't speak for Shreveport, but we don't see them until it's election time. They show up with a truckload of turkeys, and that's what you're going to get for your vote. So honestly, no matter what people think, Biden is going to, and he's going to keep shooting himself in the foot. And when you think about it, why you think Obama made him be quiet? Because he knew the type of person that he was. So as I tell people every day, if you want to vote for him, vote for him. He doesn't have the muscle. He has not picked a running mate. What is he, scared of the African American woman? Is he really scared to pick a running mate? So when it's all said and done, what I'm basically saying is, if you're not going to beat him, you might as well get ready for 4 more years. You may as well get ready for 4 more years. So we can spend the next 4 years with, quote unquote, a lame duck politician, because in their second term, they are lame duck. They don't care how it go, what go down. They know this the last 4 they got. So really, they're going to try to make as much money as they can. Or you can figure out a way for our people who should be Democrats to figure out what can we get for our people in these 4 years. Because they got nothing out to do. You got it.
Politics.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
So I've worked around politics for the last 20 plus odd years. And one of the things that I heard the comments and so I think that it's always appropriate to put things in the proper context. First of all, it was on an infotainment show with Charlemagne the God. And Charlemagne's approach, he was really aggressive in his approach. And if you familiar with Charlemagne and the way he comes across, it was a hard conversation to have. I wasn't necessarily offended by what Mr. Biden had to say. Because I think a lot of people say a lot of things, and I look more into what people actually do than what they say, because I can tell you anything. But the way I feel and where my heart is really, and from my perspective, it's best demonstrated by your actions. And I said to Constance today, I think, or some other people today, first of all, what is it that we want as a people? What plan, what agenda, what have we actually presented as leverage? Because votes are quid pro quo. So it's I give you my vote and you give me something. But what have we as a race of people actually presented on a national agenda uh, that says that this is what we're going to need in exchange for our support? And in exchange for that, we're going to go out and we're going to organize, we're going to call, we're going to canvass, we're going to get our people to the polls to actually vote for and to support your candidacy. So I don't know what it is that we are looking for collectively as a people. Um, so the only thing a person can do then is to start looking at his or her individual circumstances. And when it comes to national elections, you know, who's in the White House really does matter because it has a lot of implications in terms of where we stand on the world stage. If you look at what's going on with this pandemic, with the COVID-19 and the response and who is affected the most, leadership does matter. And who's leading the effort, the way they feel and the way they view you, it does matter. And so, Trump has a history of not accepting people of color, not embracing people of color, not even wanting people of color to rent from him. So, I mean, he just has a long history that hasn't been favorable to people that look like you and me. Now, Joe Biden hasn't been perfect, right? But Joe Biden has supported things that, and if you look back to when he went to Carolina and that changed the race for him, older black people have always been conservative, and older black people have always been able to look at what somebody has presented or is presenting, what somebody has done, and they've always been able to make a decision based on those things. And so we're conservative by nature, right? this new wave stuff that you have going on with these millennials, and that's not indicative of the people who we were and where we come from. And so you got just two different um, philosophies in the African American community. You almost have a younger generation where anything goes, right? And they'll stomp and shout for a candidate like Bernie Sanders, but they don't go to the polls. You have older blacks who are convicted and committed to their philosophy, and they're going to go out and vote in droves. And that's how Biden won the nomination. So here we are, right? Neither guy is perfect, right, by any means, but to advocate for people not to vote or to support Mr. Trump, I think is misplaced and irresponsible on any kind of platform, because you can just look around and you can see what's going on in America and how it has affected our community. Now, I know that the white Democrats and the Democratic Party have benefited more from black votes and black supports than we've ever gotten, right? But what I don't see is any circumstances other than when Tavis Smiley, my fraternity brother, and Cornel West tried to present a plan for America. He was having a of the Union, a state of Black America, and they came up with a national agenda um, from just people from different walks of life, and it was to be presented. And then we did not support those brothers. We did not embrace the effort, and so here we are today, still scrambling and scraping, looking for somebody to give us something that we have critiqued, and um, it's something that we have denounced, but we've not presented anything. And so it's like the best that we have until we give something. So I'm not offended. I'm more offended by what we haven't done. And when you talk about your local municipalities, Shreveport, Dallas, wherever, local government are the people that you need to be looking at for that, because those are the people that are responsible for your community. Well, you know what? As a matter of fact, I'm responsible for me, for my home, for my neighborhood, my community, and so we need to really focus, to me, on the individual. What are my priorities? What are my values? What are my morals? What am I willing to stand for? What am I willing to do to make my situation better? And so, I was not offended by Joe Biden. I'm not looking for Jesus because I already know what Jesus is and I have a relationship with him. I'm looking for somebody who's competent and capable of doing the job, and somebody who we can hold accountable to do the job, and somebody who um, can get the things done. And I just think experience matters. Um, and so, that's my stance on that. I don't think he lost anything today by the statement.
Well, the one thing I'm gonna say is millennials matter. They matter, and the reason I
I
say
think they do. I think they
the
do, but
reason
they
I
don't
say that
vote.
they matter
They don't
is
vote.
because all these politicians in all these cities, in all these states, they lean on these senior citizens, pimp them for their votes, and they don't do anything for them.
But that's what I'm asking you. I see. I think it's offensive to think that, or to suggest that, because I don't vote the way that you or whoever wants me to vote, but because I'm supporting Joe Biden, that I'm being pimped. That in itself is offensive. You know, I've worked with seniors. I've worked in politics. And the one thing that I know is that the people who you think are uninformed, the people who you think uh, don't know what's going on, they actually do know what's going on, and the seniors pay attention. They know what's going on, and they've lived a lot of this stuff. And so I think we shortchange them, uh, And then you're talking about generations, and their wants and needs are totally different from ours. My grandparents were satisfied with their children being able to go to school, and their children being able to get middle class jobs, and to buy homes, and to send their kids to school. And so I think when you compare the generations, it's just totally different.
So I have a question. So you said that you made reference to the fact that you want to know who actually is against African Americans and who's not. You made that comment, correct?
Who?
Um, Jerry made that comment. So, what makes you think that Joe Biden really doesn't have the African Americans' best interest at heart?
What has he done for African Americans?
What have we required him to do?
We required him to do his job.
Which is,
So here's my thing.
see, that's
If you if
subjective. But
if you
I,
will
I look at I like to measure things objectively.
if you will
So,
allow me to speak, I will tell you what he's
okay,
not
go
done.
ahead. Go
In
ahead.
the state of South Carolina, do you know about the school system in South Carolina?
Enlighten me.
I'm gonna enlighten you. It's worse than your school system in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's worse than the school systems in the state of Texas.
So how
So
can
here,
it be worse? So they're F minus because
Hey, Dada.
Springport is
On the
D's
phone.
and F's. We have a
Oh,
lot of failing schools.
okay, so here's the thing, whether it's Biden or whoever, all right, especially when you're sitting in those types of seats, when you're over those states and all that. I deal with it in Texas because education is my thing. You don't get a pass. So when I ask what he's done, my question now becomes when you say we don't know what we want. Okay, Mr. Biden, can you tell me how you're gonna fix the school system for African American kids? The same school system where African American kids mysteriously started failing across the country at the same time. Mr. Biden, can you tell me, is there a way to deal with crime instead of adding more police officers? Can you add more resources to the neighborhoods? See, I'm gonna tell you something. I deal with gang members every day. I mentor
hey,
them every day.
Dada.
I work,
I'm on
I
the
work with the
phone.
police department, I work with the sheriff's department, and I'll tell the chief in a heartbeat, you do not need more cops, you need more resources. So, Mr. Biden, what is your plan to bring more resources? See, I have a black agenda, and I'd love to have a black conversation with that racist white man because I'm gonna break it down to him. So, can we have a conversation about crime? Can we have a conversation about, Mr. Biden, what would you do with the mental health aspect for my African American community as far as getting us some help and some more resources? Mr. Biden, why did you not fight when the stimulus came out and not ask for more than $1,200? $1,200 is not gonna do nothing for us. I'm on fire, y'all. I'm on fire, y'all, because I can hold this conversation with Biden. You didn't ask for more than $1,200. That's all you put in the pot. My mama told me a closed mouth don't get fed. So why you didn't ask for 2,000? Why you didn't ask for 3,000, Mr. Biden? Why you wasn't on the front line when the pandemic popped off?
Okay,
I'm
chill.
on the phone.
Mr. Biden,
Okay,
were you on
chill, my
vacation?
pa.
Put him in
Well,
the same room with me. I'll chew him up.
but again, when they and I'm just gonna tell you my stance. When they announced that there was going to be a stimulus, I was really for working class and middle class families, because we're the ones who are carrying the debt in this community, in this country, right? So we have the home loans, we have the auto loans, we have student loans, and so you don't want those things to start to crumble or people start to default on those things. And I was not for the people who were uh, on government assistance, or rich people actually getting any kind of benefit, simply because their standard of living did not change, right? Because if my housing is paid, if I'm getting food stamps, none of that stopped when COVID-19 hit and we started to shut down. I'm a business owner. My business closed immediately and still hadn't reopened, right? And so that has affected me more significantly. I have to pay mortgage, right? I have to pay um, rent on for my office and things like that. And I have expenses to run my business. So my standard of living changed immediately. And so I saw that more as a people situation. Didn't matter to me if you were black, white, rich, poor, or a black, white, Republican, Democrat, because if you were middle class, working class, you were immediately impacted. The poor in this country uh, are going to have their needs met to a certain uh, to a certain level. Rich people obviously have enough money to pay for what they need to pay for. So when it came to the stimulus, and then Biden was not in the Congress, and that was a fine line to walk. In my opinion, I'm not defending him, but I would have been careful too not to politicize the 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 stimulus. Now, I do think that he should speak up and say something about this new package that has been uh, presented to the Congress. I do think that hey, that each American, working American at least, should get the $2,000 a month, and because it'll make a difference to the bottom line of a lot of people. So I do wish that, and maybe we will hear somebody advocate or hear him advocate for that. I don't know. But I do think that something needs to be addressed. But I don't see that particularly as a black white issue or a Democrat or Republican issue. I see that as an American issue because again, you're talking about finances brother, I live in a mixed neighborhood, and all of us, most of us are business owners, and we work for people who were impacted by COVID-19. So we're all kind of in a similar situation, and we all could use the relief, and so I see that in that regard. But again, I just what is it that we are looking for? I our morals and values. I mean, I know people that work in the education system here in Shreveport, and you have top-notch leadership, you have top-notch training, you have people that go over and beyond. Um, but the greatest influence that a lot of these kids have, all these kids have, are what's coming from home. And so they can only do so much while the kid is at school. But if there's no reinforcement at home or in the community or no support, I mean, how far should it go?
Oh, well, let me answer that for you. Let me answer that for you. See, because I'm gonna tell you, I don't know. You're just meeting me. So I'm so hard on education in the city of Houston that they banned me for life from going to school board meetings. But see, I'm the smart Negro. I got that lawyer, took it to federal court. I fought for the Constitution and I won. So you just jumped in my arena. Brother, if you believe that those people, they're hardworking, they got good administrators, you've already failed those kids in that school system. That school system was designed to make those children fail. Because
Well,
if they're failing in Shreveport, how they failing in Houston the same way?
So
How
how
they
is,
failing in California?
I'm sorry, how was the school system set up to fail our children?
Let me see. I've never been in one of your schools. Give me the worst school in Shreveport.
So let me so let
According
me
to
let
the
me
data.
let me, let me say something. Let me say something first. When it comes to education, I'm huge
Okay,
on education, okay? And I believe
okay.
that it is the parents' responsibility, okay? When our children go to kindergarten, they should already know how to read and they should know how to count. And I believe that in the Black community, we do not value education. And in the circle of truth, we have that argument all the time. And African Americans are so quick to down African Americans who've gone to college by making these little snide comments about the fact
absolutely.
that there's a lot of stupid, intelligent people, or whatever it is. We're talking about the student loans. So the African American community right now, if our schools are failing, it is the parents' responsibility. It is not the teacher's responsibility.
And you got to remember, we come from a people who, it's especially my grandparents' generation, their parents, and even my parents' generation. They come from people who could not even read and write. However, they valued education and they knew that
Exactly.
it was something good there, and that if you got it,
Exactly.
you didn't bring home no D's and F's. You got your lesson, you did your homework, and so you were to go to be productive. You didn't go, you didn't clown. You weren't going to misrepresent yourself. You weren't going to misrepresent your
Mm.
family. And so the morals and values were just totally, totally different. Now, I'm not saying that people are perfect in the school system, but I just happen to know how hard people are working and how dedicated they are to it and to no avail. Because see, it's easy to point the finger and say, that they're not doing this in school, they're not doing that in school, and nothing is 100%. But I know for a fact that there are people who are dedicated, there are people who go over above and beyond, and it is not supported in the neighborhoods, in the communities, in its home
It's
because it's
not.
not valued.
It's not. You know what? When I'm a claims adjuster, okay, and during my off season, I work in the school district. Derek's wife is a recruiter for teachers. Okay, so you're talking to two people that's in there. So
And
I can sit in that
you
classroom.
talking to the
I can sit
you
in that
talking to the
classroom, and I can
okay,
sit in that
I'm not gonna be
classroom
able to
with kids that are in the sixth grade and they
okay.
can't even read.
Well, how
They
did they
can't.
get to the sixth grade?
They can't read in
How
sixth
did
grade.
they get out? If they're reading on a third grade level, how did they get from the third grade to the sixth grade?
Why did they even go to kindergarten and don't know how to read?
You didn't answer
That's
my
the
question.
parents' responsibility because
My
the
thing
parents
is,
don't value
and
education.
I'm in your world, I'm gonna give you that. But I asked you a simple question. If they were in the third grade and now they all made it all the way to the sixth grade, how did they get there if they couldn't read?
Well,
Because
Louisiana,
I can answer
well,
that
the
question.
laws.
I can answer that question. Let you spoke earlier, Derek. Let me talk. Please let me talk.
I'm
Go
Okay,
trying to get
ahead,
in
go
on the
ahead.
education
one,
conversation.
they
I
can
just sit
only
back and
probably
listen.
hold that kid back no more than once.
That's
And
right.
then you have parents who think they know more than the student, I mean than the teachers, and they go in there and they challenge the teachers
In
and they
front of the
challenge
in
the
front of
family.
the student, they do it in
Yes.
front of the student.
I had these students, tell me a few months ago, okay? They were like, oh, because I told this is what I told them. I said it doesn't make a difference whether or not you have a permanent sub in your class or not. You still need to do your work. And those girls sat there and told us because they didn't have permanent teachers in there that there was no way that they could be held back. Those they don't value education.
And they running gang.
They don't.
So do,
They
so
don't.
do I get to think
The
about
parents are
do,
going and they're putting their kids on disability checks so that
So
those
there's a benefit. There's a
so they
benefit.
get benefits.
do I get to speak on education, please?
Oh, but you said that you
You guys say y'all know education. I don't know if you know. I'm the top education advocate in the state of Texas. Now let's have this conversation.
oh, we having it.
I'm gonna
And
tell
I'm
you why
saying
your
put the
school,
responsibility
whether
on the parents.
whether you want to admit it or not. I've never set foot in one of your schools, but I'm gonna tell you why your worst school is failing. And you tell me if I'm wrong. One, your administration keeps flipping. You can't seem to keep the
No,
teachers in the school.
no.
For
And
some reason, they're moving.
why can't we keep
No,
teachers in the
ma'am,
school?
ma'am, if you will allow. Okay, y'all got it. I'm done talking. I don't know what, but I can tell you this here. Before I showed up, they closed 7 8 black schools in Houston. And since I showed up 8 years ago, they closed one. And none of them are failing anymore.
So
Why?
are you
Because you
saying
are
that we
going
don't value
to give,
education like we
what
should?
you are going to do is give those kids the same resources on my side of town that you give them on the white side of town. You're going to give them everything that they got in that white school. You're going to put it in this black school. Now, what I'm going to do as a parent, as a volunteer, I'm going to get out here. I'm going to knock on doors. I need you to support this school now. I need you to support this kid. I made sure that you had everything you needed in there. So guess what happens when you level the playing field?
But you said the key thing that you as a parent advocated, and you went out and you corralled the other parents to support
No.
you.
I didn't say me as a parent, brother. You're not listening.
Yeah, you said that you went and knocked on the doors.
My daughter is sitting on this thread right now. She graduated. I'm just a community member. But you take my tax money, and yet my school doesn't have what it needs. Why do I need to go to the school board meeting and beg for the same resources that the white school already has? Level the playing field. There's nothing wrong with our children. But if you don't give them what they need to succeed, they can't get it done.
And part of those needs are a parent and parents and a support system that values
qualified teacher in the classroom.
Well, but that values education, that have taught their children some manners, and that are smart enough to know. See, my son, I know my son. My son is mischievous, and he is gonna be the life of the party. I already know. So I'm not surprised if we get a call. He's smart, but I'm not surprised when I get a call to say that he's being mischievous. And if I disagree with what's being said to me, what's being presented to me, I have enough sense and dignity about myself to excuse him and to address it with adults. I'm not going to demean or to devalue or to take power away for those who have the authority over him while he's at school. And so you have these parents who, I'm just telling you, when I didn't know that my parents smoked cigarettes or even drank alcohol until I was well in college, because my parents cared enough about me not to do that in front of me. And you have anything, no holds barred society where people live and do and say anything in front of their children. They don't filter the television shows, they don't filter the music, they don't filter the activities. And so as a result, we got all this junk that's going into our schools. We got a problem. The people are out of control, and we are blaming the society. And I'm just saying that we come from a people who had less than what we had today, and yet we are producing a far inferior product. My mom then went to school. Well, wait a minute. My mom then went to school. It was segregated. They didn't have books. Wait a minute. They didn't have books, but they had they had parents and they had people.
This is your problem in schools. This is your problem in schools. You're going to have to, and I got a video that got 5 million views when I stood in front of your school board in Houston and threw this money at them. You can throw money at certain schools, but you won't throw it at black schools. My kids need exactly what they got on the other side of town. Brother, if you take me, if this lady took me and said, I'm going to teach you how to be an adjuster. Okay, don't teach me half of it. Teach me all of it. And our kids go to school every day in buildings that don't have nothing.
And if I teach you, okay, and if I say to you, do not bring cell phones into the classroom. If you bring a cell phone into the classroom, I'm going to take it. Now, if you bring the cell phone in and I tell you, hand me the cell phone, and you stand up there going back and forth arguing with me, telling me you don't give a damn, that's a problem.
I just, the question started.
But the black kids in America.
But the question started off about Joe Biden and what Joe Biden would do for education. I'm just saying that they'll have plans and they'll throw money at the problem. And let me tell you something. African American schools get more money per kid to educate them than most, because they have all these special programs and all that. Well, I'm just telling you. But here's the deal. Until we get some people to the parents, buy-in, until the parents start parenting the children instead of the children telling the parents what to do. You know, it's not going to change. And we can go backwards and forwards, and you can go in front of the city, you can go in front of the United States Congress and scream, yell, and holler about the inequities in funding, what we perceive or how we. And I know that there's some deficiencies, and I know that there are some challenges. But the root cause of all of this is that we do not value what we valued before, and
We
and
don't.
and as a result, you're seeing all these problems at school. Teachers can't even, the kids that want to learn can't even learn
So
because you have all these
what I'm gonna say
distractions
is
and
here.
these bad children. I mean,
That's
that's
how it
just
might
what
go
it is.
down in Shreveport. That's how it might go down in Shreveport.
Street,
But
they
I
ain't no
tell you
different than
what,
nobody
I
else. They
tell
ain't no
no, 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 no,
different.
no, no,
No,
no.
no, no.
Let me
But they're
tell you
no
what Mr.
different than
Monroe did.
anybody else. They're
Let
no
me tell you
different
what
than
Mr.
anybody else.
Monroe did. When I feel like the school system ain't educating my kids, I'm gonna dig off in your business. And when I dig off in your business, I'm gonna turn over all this illegal stuff to the feds. When I turn it over to the feds, the FBI walks into your building and raids your building. I'm gonna get you out the building one way or the other. Either educate them or go to jail. Point
Okay.
blank. And look at the news. It's on the news right now.
Hmm.
But you
But
Okay.
seen them people walking the school system with the federal FBI? You looking at the man that sent them in there. You took my tax money and I want what I paid for, which is an equal education that you are entitled to give them. And if that's not what you want to do, then
so
you
how
might
do
want to
you,
get out
so
the building.
how are you measuring the equality?
Excuse me?
How are you measuring the equality? What tool, what metrics did you use to say that what's being offered at school A isn't being offered at school B?
Are
What
you
kind
are
of?
you on are you on a laptop right now?
No, I'm not.
Are you on a laptop, Constance?
I am.
Okay. When the pandemic started, we got a problem in Houston. You were supposed to issue out laptops in August when school started. So when the pandemic pops off in March, you're telling us, oh, we got 100,000 kids that don't have laptops. At what schools? Oh, mostly urban and minority schools. So why don't those kids have laptops the same way the rich kids got them?
But if I can guarantee, if you go to a lot of those homes, they have Jordans, they have Polo,
I
they
was
have
just
the
going to
latest
say
cell
that.
phones,
Cell
The
phone.
school is
the
obligated.
latest cell
If
phones,
the school is
and
obligated to give them a laptop, I don't give a damn what they mamas bought them.
Okay, so this is my question. This is my question. Why is it when I go into the classroom and I say to them, "This is your assignment. This is sixth, seventh, and eighth graders," and they ask me for a pencil? Why is it parents aren't making sure that their kids have their pencils and papers, but they make sure they got cell phones?
You
So
want me to
what?
answer that?
So this is so.
because
Let
the
me say this.
priorities are off.
Let me say this. Let me say this. Okay. Number one, my mother and father made sure that I knew how to read when I went into kindergarten. My mother made sure during the summer that she took my brothers and sisters and I to the library. Okay. When I had my three sons, I made sure that my kids did their homework after school. When I monitored my son's grades, and when I saw that he wasn't reading up to par, I went and did the research. I called Arlington Independent School District because see, we can talk about Dallas because my kids didn't go. My kids went to school in Dallas. They went to school in Arlington, and then they went to school out there in what is it called? Justin, out there in Justin. Okay. I went to the school and I said, this is the type of test that I want my son to have so I can know where his reading and comprehension level was on. And I went up there to that school, just like in that movie, in a pair of overalls and sat in that freaking classroom and made sure my son took his test. Now, that's the type of parent I am. So I'm
Can I
asking
answer your
you,
question
what type,
about the pencil?
but we want to talk about what these teachers are doing. My
I'm
question
trying
is,
to answer each question you
are
shoot.
not learning like they're supposed to. You, as a parent, you have a responsibility as well.
What Constance? Here's another one. See, don't call them up there for a parent teacher conference because they not coming. Oh, but take the cell phone. Take the cell
Oh,
phone because it's ringing in
where's,
class now.
where's my
It's a
son's
fight.
cell
It's a
phone
fight.
at? Why
And
you take
then wait a
the
minute.
cell
Wait a minute. Even beyond that. Oh, don't ask for money to pay for anything. They don't have any money, but
Hold
come
on, brother,
Fields Day,
because
come
if
Fields
you
Day, they show
understand
up with
your schools
stacks of
that's
money,
failing,
and so
your school that's failing, are they a Title One school?
most of them are, yeah.
Damn it, if they ain't got a pencil, Title One funding supplies it. Whatever they don't have,
Okay, now help me
Title
understand
One
this.
funding supplies it.
How is it you can afford? How is it you can afford weed?
You didn't
How
hear
can
what I
you
said.
afford weed?
They
How can
get
you afford
federal funds
afford
if
pencils
it's
for
a
your
Title
children?
One school.
How can you
They
afford
get
weed
federal
but you
funds
can't
to
afford
supply.
pencils for your children?
So what
How
you're
can you
telling me,
afford
you
weed?
a Title One school and they get the
How can you
federal
afford
funds, they can do what they want with it?
do a poll right now on this section right now? How many of you all
Sweetheart,
sit on Friday night
you're not speaking education.
and drinking?
Undoubtedly, like you just named those schools and
You
then
can
started,
buy
your
John
children,
weed,
your
but you can
children did not go to a Title One school. Your children did not go to a Title One school. Because I want you to understand something. I get it that y'all business owners. I am too. I lived in the 5-bedroom house. I moved out of the suburbs and went back to the hood to help my hood. If it's a Title One school, whatever that child don't have, that's what the funding is for. So if he doesn't have a pencil, if he doesn't have a tablet, they are supposed to supply it.
So every single day we're supposed to give these kids different pencils.
A different tablet. Because
Title
what
One school,
happens?
Every
Yeah,
eliminate.
what happens when you?
You get the federal funding to do
classroom,
it.
we're supposed to provide pencils. They're going into 8 classrooms. They go into 8 classrooms 5 days a week. So each student gets 40 pencils a day. Let's do the math.
Ma'am, what I'm trying to make you
It doesn't
understand is
make sense.
you
It doesn't make sense,
It
Constance.
don't make no
don't want
And
to hear
sense.
it.
then you give
You
them
don't want to
laptops,
hear it. You
but
just
you give
help
them.
the school get Title One funding. If they get Title One funding, whatever that child does not have, that includes the uniform that they'll have to wear to school, they have to supply it. That's the reason they get the funding.
And then
So you got to give them a bill every single day. You
when
got
they
enough money coming in there to do it.
when they get the uniform, then they don't even wear them like they're supposed to. They're supposed to go in there with the little neckties and stuff like that. So they come to class, they come to school without the necktie. Then they have to go to the office and spend $3 to get another necktie.
That they don't have. So we're talking about intrinsic things that they should have before they even get to school on day one.
Some people don't
I
have it,
should
Rick.
know. No, 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 no,
I'm
no.
going to tell
I'm
you
talking
again.
about no, no. I'm talking about I should know my alphabets. I should have common courtesy. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I should know my name. I should not know what's your mother's name, Pookie. No, come on. These kids are all the way behind because nobody is investing the time and the morals and the values in them even before they get to school, and then it's not being
I'm gonna
reinforced.
put some.
It's not
I'm
being
able to put.
reinforced at home.
I'm able
It's
to
just
put
not. It's
comment.
not.
I'm able to put comments up, and I'm finna put a school teacher up right now and let her tell you what she says about Title One funding.
But see, they arguing about
If
the
they ain't
funding, and
got
we're
but one
talking.
uniform,
But but
tell
but
the
but
school to give them
but
20.
but but you're talking about funding, and what we're talking about. 'Cause see, you can fund the school all day long and have everything that you need, but if you don't have a kid who is there and ready to learn, who is supported by the parent and the community, I mean, we could buy pencils. I, I mean,
I don't
I don't
expect
see it.
my teachers to buy pencils. I expect for the federal funding to buy it.
Okay,
That's
but
what it's there for.
okay, but if they have a pencil in the classroom and that student sits there and leaves that pencil on the floor, and
They
then the
break them. They do whatever. But
another
but but
because
but what?
So you
they
you
don't
take
value.
both of you guys
But
seem like
but
you've taken a lot of tests. I'm gonna
but
give you a
what
question.
does this have? But wait a minute. What does this have to do with the original question about Joe Biden? Like, what does this have to do with the question
So
about?
the question about Joe Biden, is if he's from South Carolina before he became the vice president, then what did he do for education for those people?
What did Trump do for education?
We ain't talking about Trump. We talking about Biden.
You're saying, yeah, we are talking about Trump.
Trump wasn't a politician.
You're slamming Biden. You're slamming Biden.
I'm not slamming.
But you're lifting up Trump. What you and your counterpart said later is that we need to just
let me get something clear with you.
Because
if you brought me on here to tell the people that I'm voting for Donald Trump, let's get it straight right now. I'm not voting for Trump.
By not voting, so you're not
you idiot.
At all. That means you're.
But I'm definitely not gonna vote for a closet racist.
So you're gonna sit back and let Trump remain in office.
I'm not gonna sit back and let nothing. I'm like, let me put it to you straight. Let me put it to you straight. And what I'm trying to tell you is, I don't have to vote for Biden. I can write Louis Farrakhan in. You got a problem with that?
All right, Nation of Islam.
Goddamn right, all day long. Is that funny to you?
Huh?
I consider that totally disrespectful.
Look,
I thank y'all for sitting down talking to me.
You don't even know why I laughed, did you?
No.
You don't know why I laughed, did you?
Mm-mm.
You don't know why. So how you gonna be disrespected instead of asking me why am I laughing?
I'll tell you something, my sister.
Assumptions here, aren't you?
When it comes to the minister,
you're making some assumptions. Ask me what my middle son's name is.
I don't, at this point,
ask me what my middle son's name is. See, you're assuming I'm disrespecting the Nation of Islam. You're making assumptions. Ask me what my middle son's name is.
Nobody.
Ask me last week who I sat down and watched.
Well, let me tell you all guys this before I log off.
Who did you watch?
I understand. He and I, we need to have a conversation.
Let's have it.
My son's name is Malcolm Malik. Okay, and I studied Malcolm. And last week I watched an interview with Malcolm X's daughter and Dr. King's daughter, and it talks about all of the myths that are out there about Malcolm X.
Well, last week on my show, I had the Southwest Regional Minister of the Nation of Islam on my show.
Because I laughed, you assumed that I had an issue with the Nation of Islam.
I
said I'm writing in Louis Farrakhan. It became a joke.
No.
I laughed. It became a joke.
No, she laughed because she had that was a familiar point of reference that you made because she had the experience and because she believes, I mean, she has some kind of commitment to it because her son's name, Malcolm Malik. And so that's what she was saying. But because, I mean, you didn't receive what she was saying because of whatever reason.
Because he's in his feelings. But that's okay.
but you know what? But listen, I'm gonna tell you guys this.
I'm nowhere in my feelings. Let me tell you something.
But wait a minute, I'm gonna tell you guys this before I have to leave because I
is an education advocate. I go into schools with parents and I battle school districts. So since the school district closed down, I have not made $1 in over 3 months, and I'd be damned if I'm sitting there hurting.
Oh, you want me to cash nightmare? You want me to cash you?
Nightmare.
You want me to cash
I am a rich nigga.
You a what kind of nigga?
I'm a rich nigga.
You want me to cash app you?
So Nene.
That's all you want. I don't turn down nothing but my collar. So I think y'all do good. And one day I'm gonna send you all these inboxes I got from people in Shreveport that want me to come down there and battle education. But I think y'all got it.
I think you insulted, but you're still not telling me what Trump.
I'm gonna tell you this here so that you can hear me plain and clear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a damn if Jesus is Joe Biden's running mate. I'm not voting for that clown.
Well, and I think that that's okay. I mean, this is America. We participate in a free democracy, and I think at the end of the beginning, and end of the day, that people have to look at each candidate and determine uh, who lines up most with their morals and values, and who they think could deliver, best what it is that they're
Well,
looking
ain't
for,
nobody delivered for
and
us. It's
that's the wait,
everybody.
but wait a minute. That's the beautiful thing about democracy. And the thing that I tell people all the time when they're running, especially white people running for office, is that black people, we're not monolithic and we're not all in a box. We all don't think the same because we all have different experiences, and that's okay. And so I just say God bless. I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. I'm going to advocate for Joe Biden, and I'm going to ask people to vote for Joe Biden just because I think he's the better candidate. I think that Mr. Trump has gotten this country off in a direction that is not uh, positive and that's not good. And so, you know, uh, but some people do, I'm not gonna fall out with anybody about it. I think that you are smart enough to look at the information again, look at the candidates, and know the decisions, and to make a decision based on what is best for you
I'll
and your
skip that
family.
race.
What did you
It's
say?
Farrakhan, or I'll skip that race.
Okay. Well, I it's gonna take a whole lot of paper and a whole lot of writing to get there.
Well, this is what this
Oh yeah, I know it's a laughing matter, but as soon as the election is over, you're the first one I'm gonna hit because I'm gonna be there to tell you I told you so.
what that Trump's going to be reelected.
They don't have the muscle, baby.
Okay, no one said that we didn't think Trump would be reelected. What we're saying is we don't want Trump to be reelected, and that's two different
And
things.
that's cool if you don't.
Okay, and I'm not happy with the state of America right now. I'm not happy at all,
Did,
and I
did this,
don't like
did
the
this
sense,
just happen, or
I
did
don't
this has this been going on for 65 years?
I don't like the sense of entitlement, and I don't like the way the country has changed. And do I think it's gotten worse? Yes, I do, and I'm not happy with that at all.
Well, I get confused when you say that. You
You get
say the
confused
country
when I
has
say what?
changed.
Do
You
what?
say the country has changed.
It has changed. I
So
think race-wise,
in
I think race-wise it's
1864,
gotten much worse, huh?
in 1864, were they hanging black people from trees?
Are you talking about the strange fruit on the tree?
No, I'm asking a point blank question. In 1864, I'm just using that year. Were they hanging black people from trees?
I'm sure they were.
And in 2020, ain't we finding black people hanging from trees? Now,
Okay,
what changed?
what is your point? What
What
is your
changed? The educational component been screwed up since the day they decided us to let us go in it. Brown versus the Board of Education did nothing but give us magnet schools and school choice, which was used to circumvent Brown versus the Board of Education. This is why you have unequal education, separate but unequal education to this day. So what has changed? Police brutality in the 60s. We're still dealing with police brutality. So when are we gonna make America great again? America ain't
well,
never.
we definitely haven't made it great in the past 2 or 3 years. We haven't made it great at all with the person
And
that we
guess
have
what?
in there.
And unless you want to be truthful, it wasn't great before he got in there.
I think it's gotten worse.
The only thing that happened, Trump is open about who he is. Biden throws rocks and hides his hands. Trump will look you in your eye and call you a nigga in a heartbeat and won't think twice. Biden will shake your hand and go in the back room and call you one. You'll never know where you stand with him. And that's cool if that's how you live your life.
So
But
you
I
said
can't
you're from Texas, right? You're from
that is
Texas,
not
right?
working in the best interest of black people. I'm not doing it. And if people want to get mad because I'm not doing that, and they want to say, well, you're using your platform wrong, and I use my platform for a lot of things. I help solve murders. I make sure schools stay open. I fight for senior citizens. But I'd be damned if I fight for somebody who says that if you don't know, then you ain't black. Man, you just called us stupid. That's the one reason that wife woke up one morning and I told her, what is that sign doing in the front yard? Man, we finna get the hell up out of this neighborhood. I don't need to be around this foolishness. I need to be around people that understand me.
So, has Trump not made little snide comments about African Americans as well?
You goddamn right he did, but he did it in public. He did it, and he ain't gonna apologize for it.
Okay. So this particular statement that was said, I don't think that there's a problem with saying that. That's no different than me going into and having a conversation with a woman and saying that I expect women to vote for me, especially if I'm co-signing on women's issues. What is the difference?
I'm gonna say this real slow.
This is what I think.
I ran for public office and I learned one thing, as vocal as I may be. I ran for public office and I learned one thing. When you are running for office, there are certain damn things you cannot say.
Oh, wow. So we got a whole freaking clown in office and we want to talk about what Biden said?
I thought Biden was Cairo.
And let me tell you something. And why do we have to be so politically correct? Because it was absolutely nothing wrong with what he said.
Yeah, there was something wrong with it. In your world,
you don't like him, so regardless of what he says, you're gonna have an issue with whatever it is that he says.
So why don't I like him?
That's what I'm trying to find out. You said you don't like him because you said because he's from South Carolina. You feel like he didn't do anything for the school system. You have a problem with the 1994 bill that he co-signed on.
And I'm gonna tell you a 1994 bill, and I'm gonna tell you a 2000 legislation that's about to go into effect. See, in 1994, black people had a crack problem. They was either on it or they was selling it. And you decided to write this bill to make sure that you could get rid of these super predators. And in 2019, you start having an opiate problem. But that was a white problem. Instead of sending them to jail, you created treatments for them. You made sure you had funding for treatments. Well, people needed treatment for crack too. But then when I look at the sentences, the way they were disproportionately given. So if I got caught with 3 pieces of crack rock, a white boy that had cocaine, it had to be 100 times more to get the same amount of time. There are people sitting in prison for 50 years for less than a gram of cocaine. When we do movies about George Young, you know who that is? That was one of the dudes that was moving all the cocaine from New York to California.
I do.
But yet, at the same time, you didn't give him that much time. But my people, you throw them away and call them super predators? Baby, you looking at a man that had to sell crack because I couldn't find a job. My mama couldn't work no more. My daddy had Alzheimer's. But they took care of me all their life. What was I supposed to do?
Well, you know what?
Find a job. You know what? So if I apologize for doing,
we're not, and that right there, we will never agree with that.
We don't have to.
Well, we will not agree on that because I'm definitely not going to agree with anybody selling drugs.
I don't care nothing about no drugs. Let me tell you why.
I'm not going to co-sign on somebody selling drugs.
I'll tell you this here. Well, why in the hell they didn't give the people the time that brought it over here? You gave them the time for selling it.
Why is it in the African American community? We want to break the law. And then once we're being told, oh, what you did is wrong, we want to point the finger at what white people are doing. Why is that?
So what you're saying is if we break the law, we should be held accountable for it?
Hell yes. Why are you breaking the law? Why are you selling drugs?
Okay, so do something with your little nasty presidential candidate putting his hands on women.
Why are you selling drugs? Why are you selling drugs? Why is anybody selling drugs? Why?
I just told you.
So it's okay to put poison in the African American community.
It's okay. They brought it here.
So I'm supposed to be good. I'm supposed to be good with a drug dealer.
You have more. What's your murder rate in Shreveport? How did them AK-47s get to Shreveport, Louisiana in 2020?
And I have an issue. I have an issue with the high crime rate in Shreveport as well.
How did those
because they're too lazy and they're looking for the quick dollar.
Russia made AK-47s in Shreveport, Louisiana. How did they get there?
Why are we selling drugs
and
selling guns in our neighborhood, and we're supposed to be good with that? Why? I'm supposed to be good. I'm supposed to be good with you because your mother had all the that you sold drugs.
Let me ask you a question. If you see a kid with his pants hanging off his behind, what would you tell him?
Pull it up. Yes, I would. Pull them up.
I tell you this here, I wouldn't.
And I wouldn't sell drugs, and you sold drugs. So hey, we're on two different ends of the spectrum.
I wouldn't tell him to pull them up. Because if I help him lift his mind up, his pants gonna follow.
If he pulls his hands up and he had some kind of
You come from a different world. And that's the problem.
And what world do I come from?
Malcolm told us about you.
What world did I come from?
You are the professional Negro that Malcolm.
I'm the professional Negro.
But yet you listen and read about Malcolm Little. He was a drug dealer.
I'm a professional, and guess what his daughter is? His daughter is no different than me.
So my question.
And his daughter is no different than me.
I'm asking you, how could you ever, with the work that I do, sit here and tell me anything about selling drugs when you say you studied Malcolm Little? Malcolm Little was a drug dealer.
And I know that he did that. And he wasn't proud of what he did. And he definitely wasn't going to sit up there and encourage anyone else to do that either. And he would not be, and he doesn't glorify, he did not glorify that either.
Here, talk, and I'm just telling you what I see. If you can see these comments that's on my page, when you get through with this, go look at these comments.
For what? For what?
Sitting here being judgmental African American people in every facet of the game.
Let me tell you something. Okay. What I'm not going to sit up here and do is justify bad behavior. I'm not going to do that. And Malcolm X, he made a complete change in his life.
So what you telling me I did?
What I'm saying is this.
So what you telling me I did?
No, because your issue is this. You want to sit up here and say because African Americans sell drugs, that is something wrong with them going to jail.
I never said
that. Okay, well, you have a problem because instead of talking about what's going on in the African American, instead of talking about what's going on in the African American community,
you just got a bar.
What's going on in another community.
You ain't been watching me because I have a problem with judges letting people out on multiple bonds. I have a problem with that.
So I have a problem. I have a problem when we spend so much time talking about what's going on in another community and not addressing what's going on in our own community. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with parents not taking responsibility and making sure that their children are educated. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with parents who can spend money on weed. They can spend money on weed. and everything else, but they're not willing to invest in their own children. I have a problem with that. I have a problem when we sit up here and we have conversations with our young people about the right decisions that they make. Then when they turn around and make the wrong decisions, then we don't want to punish them. I have a problem with that. Same instance, if we talk about an African American male that's molested a woman, we want to sit up here and talk about what white men have done. So in our community, instead of us talking and holding each other accountable for the things that we do, we're so busy talking about what's going on in the white community. I have a problem with that.
Well, undoubtedly, you don't follow me like you say. Because if you trying to face, if you saying all that, if you're saying all that and throwing that at me.
I said, I did not throw it at you. I said, this is how I believe, and this is my stance.
That's what you see through your eyes.
And what is wrong with me speaking through my eyes? Is something wrong with my eyes?
I have a better shot, and I've done this, of getting some rich, affluent white parents to get out of their bubble, come to my side of town, walk my schools, and you tell me if the educational component is the same over here as it is for you. And some of those parents are watching this right now.
And you know what? And did you not just hear me tell you that in my off season, I'm over there in the hood working? Did you not hear me say that? So how dare you sit there and tell me that a white person cares more about the African American community than I do?
The first thing you did, you're over there in the hood.
And it is the hood. So you're upset because I called it the hood?
Don't leave the hood, no matter if you move to the suburbs.
Let me tell you something. For starters, all Black people weren't raised poor.
And all Black people were not raised rich.
So don't assume because someone's African American, that means that they struggled all of their lives.
And don't assume that somebody who was raised African American
don't sit here and insult me. Don't sit here and insult me and tell me about what white people are doing. Don't sit here and tell me about what white people are doing. I don't give a rat's ass. I don't give a rat's ass about what white people are doing.
But this whole conversation.
Here we go. Here we go. We can sing together. We can sing together. But see, you too busy talking over me.
You've been talking over me all night.
Okay, well then, why don't you be quiet and listen to what it is I have to say?
No, I'll tell you what we can do.
Goodbye.
Because you don't
want to listen to anything I have to say. You don't want to listen to anything I have to say. Goodbye.
Goodbye. But we can do this here.
Goodbye.
You can talk for 2 minutes, and then I can talk for 2 minutes. But so you don't get to talk for 15 and I can't say that. You got 2 minutes, and I got 2 minutes. Now your clock.
Go first. Go ahead.
I am so glad that my mom was poor. She taught me the value of hard work. I am so happy that until I die, I will wear these sweats every day. You want to know why? And I can take you on a trip through the walk-in closet right now. Because all I had when I was coming up was 3 pairs of sweats to go to school. And I wear sweats every single day of my life right now. I'm glad that I struggled the way that I struggled. I'm glad nobody gave me nothing. I'm glad that I get up every single morning and I bust my behind. But you know what I'm most happy of? Is that I sat in a room with some of these little nigger kids that people gave up on. And they told me, you can no longer talk to us because you didn't finish college. Well, you sure right. So a year and a half ago, I went back to college and I check in with every single one of them. The old man on the dean's list, can I get the honor roll out of you? I'm proud that those kids motivated me to go back and finish what I started. And because I'm finishing what I started, I got kids who ain't dying on the streets no more. I'm glad of the fact that I created an entertainment entrepreneurship academy at my old high school. Because if you want to be a rapper, then I'm going to teach you the business. I don't need to teach you how to rap. I want to teach you the business. I want to make sure that this program is a dual credit program. I want to make sure that you get college credits for it. But I also want it to be a magnet, but I want it to be a reverse magnet because I want it to be for the poor kid that nobody gives a shot to. And when kids walk away from street games to stay in this program, that's what I'm most proud of. So when ain't nobody give a damn about them, I give a damn about them. And I love them with everything in my heart because I truly know one thing. This is the greatest generation that the higher power has ever made. And they have an attribute in them that even you or I don't have. They are downright fearless. And America knows one thing. We better keep them dumb. We better keep them needy. Because if they wake up and they figure the game out, they might just take them guns off each other and turn it on them. I'm done with my segment. Talk.
So let me tell you what it is that I'm proud of. I'm proud of the fact that as an African American woman who is a survivor of domestic violence and a survivor of sexual assault, that my 3 sons sat in the audience when I got my undergrad and my grad. Okay. So I didn't let the different challenges in life stop me. And I didn't just sit here and tell my sons what it is I expected them to do. I showed them. I have always been that woman, that African American woman who was always in the neighborhood supporting young African American males. Not just my sons, but other people's sons as well. And now that I'm in my twilight years, yes, I go over into the hood in one of the middle schools where every time I'm looking and everywhere looking at who's getting killed is some of those very students, parents, uncles, what have you. And I go into that school and I work. And if those kids need something, I help. And in my platform, I said to them, we need pencils. We need sanitary napkins. We need this, we need that. And I do give back to those kids. And I don't just try to give those kids tangible, but I give them intangible things as well. And I sit down and I have those conversations with those students. I ask them, what are your goals? I ask them, how many of your parents have gone to jail? Your brothers and sisters. And think about the choices and the decisions that you make in life so you can break those chains. So what I'm passionate about, what I'm concerned about, is what I can do in the African American community. I don't care what's going on in any other community. And I believe that we need to hold each other accountable. Do I think the justice system is flawed? Yes, I do. And I think the only way that those changes are going to be made is that you're going to have the right people in place that's going to change the laws. I do. I think you have to have activists that's going to speak on people's behalf. The 2 worst counties in Texas is Smith County and Harris County. And my son went to school in Smith County. Myself and other African Americans sent our children to Smith County to go to college, and they ended up in jail. I'm that African American mother that reached out to Lee Merritt.
I wouldn't have.
That talked to the NAACP about Judge Russell sitting down there on the bench in Smith County.
We agreed
so for
to 2
anybody
minutes.
to sit up here and question,
we agreed to 2 minutes apiece.
It hadn't been 2 minutes.
Oh, that's over 2 minutes.
And you spoke over 2 minutes too, and I sat here
Ma'am, I was under
and I
2.
listened to you, and I didn't interrupt you.
I'm not gonna go 5-10 minutes, and I'm just saying.
But what I'm not gonna do is sit here and let anybody tell me that I'm not dedicated.
Let me tell you something.
Okay, all right.
I wear a lot of different hats.
Okay, and you have absolutely no respect, and you have no respect
of the Houston branch of the NAACP.
Somebody that
Please do not speak on the NAACP because they don't do shit for black people.
And you have no respect for anything that I just sat there and said to you.
You feel that way because I'm getting under you.
You have no respect because you sat there and you interrupted me in the middle of my talk.
2 minutes.
And rolled your eyes while I was talking.
You
rolled your eyes while I was talking, which means you have no respect. So help me understand.
And I'm gonna tell you this here.
You wouldn't even be where you are right now if it wasn't for an African American woman.
At the end of the day, Constance,
you wouldn't be where you are right now if it wasn't for an African American woman.
I'm a disrespectful motherfucker. And that's what it is. Now you see what's wrong with America? Now you see what's wrong with the black community? You think we can come together with some of these people? You think I want to work with some of these people? These are the type of people that we got to put these kids in the classrooms with? This is what these kids have to deal with. These sellout Negroes that think that they're entitled. I put you off my program because, baby, you need to do some soul searching. What you ain't gonna say, Smith County didn't send your child to jail, but you ain't told us why he went. Don't tell me about the NAACP. I'm a goddamn member, and they don't do shit for black people. I said it and I meant it. But what you're not going to sit here and do is talk down on African American kids. You're not going to sit here just because you got a nice sofa in your house and you think you live a certain way. You are the problem with black America. You are the professional Negro. You're the one who is keeping us down. Because you will look down on those poor people. They don't deserve a stimulus, but they pay taxes. Some kind of way they pay taxes, and they don't deserve a stimulus. Shreveport, Louisiana, you must live on the good side. Shreveport, Louisiana is a very violent city, and I hope you're watching this. Your school system is deplorable. The whole state of Louisiana is corrupt. And you telling me about what you do? Lady, when you twisting your goddamn hair up, I'm busting my ass for my community. And that's what it is. You don't like black people that are beneath you. And I'm going to tell you something. I'll drink a Miller with them all day long. I'll sit in the hood and I'll play dominoes with them all day long. I make sure my seniors got what they need all day long. See, and I couldn't represent the hood if I wasn't living in the hood. So I gave up the suburban lifestyle and I went back home to where I belong. And ever since I came back, people been getting the help that they need. You, in all actuality, need a reality check. And I'm going to say this, fuck Joe Biden. And I'm going to do everything in my power to keep spreading the word. And I'm going to you off to the fullest. Don't make me vote for fucking Trump. Because it's Negroes like you that have us stuck right now. It's Negroes like you that make sure that poor people don't get the help that they need. You need a reality check. And I don't give a damn what you did. You're a survivor of domestic violence. I got love for that. I got love for that. But what you don't get to do is think that you can sit around and talk about black people because you want to support a white racist, Joe Biden. Man, have a good day. And I'm going to tell you something. If that's what it's like to be a professional Negro, I'd rather be poor and broke all my goddamn life.